Hi guys, this episode is totally about Spring Renew Challenge. Let's dive into it. The subject, I should say the subjects of this makeover are two bedside tables. They belong to my friend who was trying to save them herself, but she decided that the task was too big for her and she asked me for help. And of course I said yes. The idea of today's challenge is to show you that things can be redone several times. And this is one of the examples. My friend started sanding the table, so I thought that, this is a good starting point for me. And I decided to finish her good work. Before accepting the job, I spoke to my friend and I already knew that she wanted the tables painted white. So that's why what I'm doing here is scuff sanding and smoothing out the old paint job, because although it wasn't very smooth, it was sticking to the table very well, so there was no need for a total strip. As the tables aren't new, they needed several repairs. I decided to start with the drawers, as there were a few parts of the drawers that needed some gluing. Actually, there were so many parts that I had to glue that gluing one drawer was taking me forever. Thanks God, there were only 4 of them. Yeah, and it also was taking me forever because I had to use all my clumps on one drawer, so yeah, but anyway, I made it. Next in the line was fixing of a broken leg. I mean, it wasn't broken when I started with it, but, it was loose. But while I was trying to gently disassemble it, it broke, which I think is for the best because I just cleaned out the whole part. I put new dowels, and now the leg is like new. As I don't have a clamp that would be long enough to clamp this bedside table, I had to be creative in applying pressure. After priming the whole piece, which unfortunately I haven't got the footage of, there was time to apply the first coat of paint. Before applying the paint, I sanded the whole piece gently with 240 grit sandpaper just to make it super smooth. And the color I'm using is old white. Whenever necessary, I mist my paint with water not to let the brush drag the paint and leave loads of brush marks. Although I'm going for kind of shabby chic style, I still don't want very, very visible brush marks. In total, the tables received 4 layers of paint with little sand in between just to make the paint nice and smooth. And yeah, I'm looking at the drip. Oh my God, it's terrible. I'm telling you, when you're painting and focusing on a totally different part of your piece that you're making over, this is something you're not aware of. But yeah, I got it in the end. In the worst scenario, you could always sand it smooth afterwards. Chalk paint is very forgiving in that way. Whatever mistake you make, it's fixable. Here is a close-up on the texture I was telling you about. Very visible brush marks, so I'm taking them down a notch. And here, ladies and gentlemen, is my failed attempt at spraying. I had problems with my paint sprayer, so this is the texture that was left. And the remedy, sanding everything smooth with 240 sandpaper. And that's it. And that's sorted. and problem fixed. Not a big deal. Now let's appreciate the very satisfying moment of taking the tape off and having a very nice line. I wish I could tell that was pretty much the end of the makeover, but nope, not so fast, ladies and gentlemen. I have no idea how I missed that one, but anyway, it's there and it needs to be fixed before we can move on to the next step. I gently push my putty knife in the crack just to open it a little bit more, and I squeezed loads of glue. I tried to push the glue as deep as I could into the crack, cleaned up the excess, which is already drying on me. Hooray! And then I use a clump or two just to make sure that this part is nice and tight. And of course, more cleaning. And then I noticed that in one of the drawers, there was one of the nails that was supposed to hold in the bottom. It was sticking out in the inside of the drawer. So, because I didn't want my friend to hurt herself while grabbing something from the back of her drawer, well, I had to fix that one. Haha, now is a little surprise I am going to leave for my friend. You need to know that she is a very, very, very big fan of Kacha style. So I thought, why not to leave her something nice inside of the bedside table? With that stencil, I'm using gold metallic paint in the color of old gold. And to apply the paint, I'm going to use a stencil sponge. And now that little piece of cardboard there is to unload the paint from the sponge. Why? Because if I dip the sponge inside of the jar and take out all the paint, I am going to get a bleed through. And I wanted to have a nice and crisp line of my stencil. So here we go. Now you know my secret to the perfect crisp stencils. Protection, ladies and gentlemen, super important. I'm using clear wax by Rust-Oleum. That's my favorite wax to protect my pieces. I started with the drawers, then I moved on to the tables, and by the time I finished, it was time already to buff the whole piece. Yep, the drawers were super thirsty. And look at that. Wow, it looks really gorgeous. I love it. If you thought that the golden stencil on the sides wasn't going to be enough for me to go full catch on those nightstands, well, you were totally right. So I've got this very, very, very cute wallpaper, and I decided that, well, yeah, let's use this inside. I can't put any transfers or rice paper on the outside, so let's do something nice, Kasia style, on the inside. The whole procedure was pretty straightforward. I put the drawer on the paper and I drew the shape of the outside of the drawer. Then I cut it out to get myself my first draft, let's call it, of the template. And then I put it inside of the drawer to adjust the size. And then I was using that new template to cut the other 3 drawers. And I was checking with the pattern before cutting. I was checking with the pattern on the paper just to make sure, because there were little birds there, and obviously I didn't want to cut a bird in half or something like that. So I was adjusting the template according to the the design. When I had all 4 pieces ready, I numbered them and I numbered the bottoms of the drawers, and then I started applying the wallpaper glue. My recommendation here, try not to be too generous with it. I think I went totally overboard. You will see in a second that I am squeezing tons of glue from underneath the wallpaper. Like, you see how much glue I'm using here? It's not necessary. That much of glue is not necessary at all. Yes, and of course the usual tip, do what the instructions say. Mine said that I had to wait for about 10 minutes for the glue to set, because this is a contact glue. And this is what I did, and the paper stuck very well to the drawers. Yep, here we go. Loads of glue coming out. Loads of glue coming out. So, yes. Again, don't be too generous. Just make sure it's nicely covered, but don't think that you need tons of it. I cleaned the excess very well, and I left it to dry overnight. And in the meantime, hi, I'm in for a treat today. Yep, I'm taking you with me to a little place here in Murcia where I can get, just a second, I need to cross the little road here, where I can get my first Aniston's brush. So I'm super excited. So this is the place. And wow, look at this. So in I go. So I've got the permission to record here. So here's the place. Look at this. This looks so cute. This is so cute. Look at this. This Aniston's chop book. Wow, this looks cute. This looks super cute. Ew, that table looks really nice. Look at this table. So cute. Well, but we are here today to get me a brush. And the brushes, ladies and gentlemen, are here. And this is the brush I want. Look at this. I'm gonna take this one. Wow. Me la llevo. Look, this is coming home with me. Wow. Yay. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias.
There are perks to living where I live. Just look at this. Really nice place. Somewhere you can just, come, sit down, relax a little bit, and it's not very noisy. So sometimes when I have time, that's not very often, but sometimes when I have time, I come here and I just read a book. And now, after doing all the shopping, and I'm super excited to use my new brush, I'm running back to my car because I still need to eat my lunch. I need to go to the gym. Yep, you need to exercise, but it's not about, being all slim and pretty and everything. It's just, I have to. But I have arthrosis, so that's the thing. But anyway, gym, then I need to pick my kids up. I need to do the shopping, and I really would like to be able to just sit down, do the project, and use my brush today. So that'll be brilliant. Keep your fingers crossed. I was so excited to use my new Annie Sloan's brush that, well, I had to do it. Although my ongoing project was not going to be painted anymore, but I had some other ongoing projects to use it on. This particular table you're gonna see later on in one of my videos. But today, just a sneak peek with Annie Sloan brush as a star. Of course, one project was not enough. What are we talking about? But for this one, I was able to use Annie Sloan's chalk paint too. I had so much fun using new toys, like, a kid in a candy store, right? But that's enough of my other projects. The wallpaper was protected with some clear coat. Theoretically, wallpaper didn't need protecting, but because it's inside of a drawer, I thought that's the right thing to do in case something is spilled in it. We can't forget about the hardware. First, I tried to test it whether it's brass or not because, I wasn't sure. I mean, the magnet wasn't sticking to it. It was sticking to my brush, the metal part of my brush. It wasn't sticking to the other one, to the hardware. But you know what? Out of how it was made, I wasn't sure about what it was exactly. So it did have this kind of like cheap feel to it. So I decided to boil it with white vinegar and install it just as it is and use some waxes to give it the look I wanted. I distressed the piece lightly. And I was ready for the home stretch. First, I used black wax by Anislan to give the hardware the depth, plus of course to add some dirt to the piece. And I was working in sections. I was adding the wax and I was cleaning the wax. It wasn't too difficult to wipe it off because as you remember, the whole piece was waxed before, so it was protected, and it was very easy to take the black wax off. And now we're going for Rust-Oleum gold wax just to finish off the work. And here, very quick before and after of the hardware. Looks completely different. And finally, aging the piece. I'm using Annie Sloan's black wax, so exactly the same one as I was using on the hardware. And again, I'm working in sections. First, I'm getting some wax on the cardboard. On my brush, and unloading it on the cardboard. This is what I wanted to say. Then I'm brushing it on the table, and then I'm going to be wiping it off. Again, I'm working in sections because I didn't want the black wax to dry too much on the table. Of course, I'm using clear wax to help me out with the black wax. And of course, if you feel like you've taken off too much, you can always add it back on. So it's personal preferences. You add as much, or you clean as much as you like, whatever you feel like. Now, this little trick I got from L Furniture. I will link the channel in the description. So the lady there is very skilled at doing blending and using waxes, etc. And she uses this kind of like a fan brush, and I've seen her using a tiny bit of golden gilding wax and just giving a tiny little amount, applying tiny little amount on different edges just to capture a little bit of light. So a little trick I decided I would like to use for myself. Apart from video editing, the final bit of every makeover is staging and taking photos. And if you thought that that was an easy thing, well, think again. I had, I think, 4 pieces to stage, and that was not really happening. It took me forever to actually get my work done. Before we move on to our before and after, I would like to say huge thank you to the Crafty Creech DIY and the Asking Spot for hosting this challenge. And remember, I'm not the only one participating, so please have a look at the link in the description and watch the other entries. And if you like this video, please comment, subscribe, and like. And now, if the gentleman allows, before and after.